Yo, what's going on everyone? Miles Midoriya here with a review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This one right here is the first movie review on the channel, and glad it's this movie because it was a good one to watch. Also, this review will have spoilers. The whole movie just looks so beautiful with the different art styles for the characters, the colors in the scenes, and the music to match the various moments just all fit together. For one of the characters, I thought I seen online that they said it almost took 3 years for them to animate, and that's Spider-Punk, or as you know him as, Hobie. His style was interesting to see throughout the movie. They said it was inspired from old punk rock posters. The time that they took to work on that, it paid off very well. Hobie was a very helpful and cool character. He's not really with the system and stuff like that, so he was telling Miles that he's Spider-Man, he can be independent and be his own boss. And also not to enlist in anything until he knows what he's fighting for, basically, which did come into play later. There's so much about this movie to talk about. For the story part, there is a spider society that Miles wants to be a part of at first, but later changes his mind. The villain in this whole thing, the Spot, is kind of silly at first. Miles even said that he's barely the villain of the week, and that right there was his first mistake. Later into the movie, he just starts to turn up a little and become more powerful. Miles and the Spot end up seeing a vision of his dad being taken out by a building while trying to help someone out, and of course the building falling down was because of the Spot. Because after that, the Spot said he was going to take everything away from Miles just like he took everything from him, so he's going to have to get back home to prevent that. I do like how they added in there that Miles and the Spot in a way created each other. The Spot was one of the scientists who brought a spider from a different dimension, the same one that bit Miles. And in that brief scene, we actually saw the Miles Morales from that dimension, which is Earth 42. Then when Miles blew up the Collider room in the first movie, the scientist was in there, which then turned him into the Spot. It is kind of sad that his life just went downhill after all of that while Miles went up, but it's not like Miles was trying to do that on purpose. Moving along to Miguel, who is Spider-Man 2099, even though he said he's the good guy, he doesn't act like it sometimes, but you can understand him to an extent with what he's been through and trying to keep things intact. So his story is that in a universe, a version of him that was happy got taken out, which means the current Miguel took over. He had a family until everything just started to disappear. Miguel wants everything to be canon, how the story is supposed to go, so he doesn't want Miles to change his dad's future because it seems like most of the spider people weren't able to save the police captains. Even Gwen is going along with it for now because of her dad being a captain. Like, you really see a difference in that situation. Even if it might change something, Miles isn't going to let his dad go out like that. And Gwen, to an extent, seems to accept that about her dad's possible fate. I'm interested to hear y'all thoughts on this, but wasn't Miguel's world falling apart because he replaced the Miguel of that dimension? Y'all know he wasn't going to forget about Peter Parker. He had a good start in the movie. We saw he has a kid now, a daughter named Mayday, and she is a cool kid. This dude Peter was acting just like anyone with kids. He immediately showed Miles and Gwen photos of Mayday. As the movie progresses, not only him but Gwen kind of hurt Miles with the whole thing going on about the possible future of what's going to happen with his dad and a discussion they had with Miguel. During the chase scene, Peter did manage to have a talk with Miles. He told him that he's the reason he had a kid. If he does a decent job raising her, there would be a chance that she would turn out like Miles. And that got him excited because he's a wonderful person and he likes being around him. You could tell Peter is kind of torn, like he cares about Miles and is trying to look out for him, but the way how some of the events have played out before, he just wants him to understand. But no, Miles is going to do his best to help his dad, and in the end, I don't think Peter would want to stop Miles from saving his dad. The family dynamics in this movie revolving around the characters is nice to see. Both Miles and Gwen are dealing with stuff with their families. Even Gwen revealed her identity to her dad. It was cool to see in that scene how they have the red and the blue on him, which could represent him making a decision, and when he tries to arrest her, it shows the color blue on him, probably representing him being a cop. We know the reason why he was going after Spider-Woman was because in her universe, we see that Peter was a lizard and he had passed away because he had got hurt during a fight with Gwen. But Peter knew it was Gwen. Even though she tried to play it off, Gwen's dad walked into the room and seen Spider-Woman near him, and from there on, he started to look for her. When Gwen revealed her identity and she didn't get a positive response from her dad, it had an effect on her to the point where she told Miles that maybe he shouldn't tell his parents about his identity, even though I think they would understand. Eventually, Gwen had to go back home and it was revealed that her dad ended up quitting because he cares about her, which also means whatever was canon for that dimension probably won't happen. That's good to hear because he should know his daughter's character and who she is at the end of the day, that she wouldn't hurt Peter, someone who she was friends with and that she cared about. For Miles, it seems like from what I could understand, his parents aren't ready for him to grow up yet. They care about him and they want the best for him, but they have to let him grow. That is relatable to most parents. Someone they raised most of their life is now getting older and will eventually venture off and do their own thing. For example, there were talks about him going to Princeton University. He wants to go, but his parents are on the fence about it because it's in New Jersey. Another one is a conversation between Miles while as Spider-Man and his dad was a good moment. His dad mentioned about Miles growing up and he's worried that he might lose him. You could just tell that he's concerned about him, and it was brought up that he knows he's hiding something, but he's just trying to figure things out. I thought the scene was portrayed well, the way he acted, the emotion, like he just really doesn't want to lose his son, but he's not. They just all need to have a conversation. Later on, when they're having a party for Miles' dad becoming captain, after Gwen met his parents and had to leave, Miles' mom had a heartfelt moment with him. She expressed that she's worried that where he's going, those same people won't look out for him like they do, and to shorten things, she told him to take care of himself. One of the things that she said was that never let anyone at those big fancy places he's gonna be tell him that he doesn't belong there. I like how in a way that scene could be referred back to when Miles was being chased by the different spider people and Miguel caught up to him. Miguel reinforced that Miles wasn't supposed to be bitten by the spider and how Peter Parker would have lived and how he doesn't belong there. At that point, Miles told him that everyone is telling him how his story is supposed to go, but he's gonna do his own thing. In a way, I like how that was tied back to what his mom said earlier in the movie. Overall, it was just interesting to see how Miles and Gwen were handling their family situations. Some were a little bit similar, but the moments can be relatable and have some type of emotion behind it. In between the story, you see a bunch of different references and different Spider people like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and we saw Donald Glover as the Prowler. Donald Glover was Aaron Davis and Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man in a movie called Spider-Man Homecoming. I wonder if we'll see that actually happen and maybe it introduced Miles Morales. There were some possible hints that they would make a live-action Miles Morales movie. Spectacular Spider-Man was shown in one of the moments that happened, and he was there in person talking, and for a brief moment we saw Penny. If anyone watching this video hasn't watched Spectacular Spider-Man, I was late to seeing that cartoon, but it's a good one to check out. It only has 2 seasons though. It would have been nice if it was able to get more. I haven't really read any Spider-Man comics, mostly just seen the movies and the cartoons, so there's probably even more stuff in this movie that relates to something else. I will say the chase scene with all the spider people going after Miles was wild. It was so many them everywhere trying to stop him. There was a part towards the end of the film that I wondered if it was going to happen, but when Miles got away from the spider people, he got scanned by the go home machine, but what he didn't notice was it said Earth 42 instead of 1610. That happened because of the spider bite and it being from that dimension, so you already know who he's going to see. It was cool to see how they did this part of the movie. Everyone's in both of the dimensions looking for Miles. It's raining in both of the dimensions, and of course everything looks the same, so it looks like they're all in the same place. When Miles gets home, he's talking to his mom. It looks like Gwen is outside listening, but she isn't, and eventually she figures out he's in a different dimension as well as Miles. In Earth 42, we learn that Miles' dad is gone and Uncle Aaron is alive. The Miles Morales that is there since he never got bitten became the Prowler. It seems like he's not going to let Miles, the Spider-Man one, leave, but it looks like he's going to try and make his way out of there. We don't get to see it because that's where the movie ends. The first time watching this movie, just seeing like the other Miles Morales was pretty wild. Like, we know he was going to go to Earth 42, but just to see him pop up right there and then it just ends, it was just like, bro, what? Watching this movie didn't feel like it was 2 hours long. I wanted to see what was going to happen next, but we'll just have to wait. It does make you wonder if Miles from Earth 42 will start to change being around the Miles that we know and help out in the city. The reason I said that was because in the background it sounds like J. Jonah Jameson saying that the Sinister Six are battling for control on the streets and that there's no one to stop them. Or the Miles that is the Prowler could help out the Miles that we know and make sure that his dad is safe. One more thing, this was nice to see Gwen put together her own team to go find Miles. It was the Spider people from the first movie in addition to some new members. This movie was fun to watch. It had so much good stuff in it revolving around the characters themselves and those around them, the different references, the art styles, and the writing. If you enjoyed the first movie, you'll enjoy this movie as well. Comment below what did you think about the movie and what was your favorite part from it. Thank you all for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one.